If you could only eat one last meal before you died, what would it be? Death row inmate David Thomas Dawson chose 2 double cheeseburgers, 2 large servings of french fries, a half-gallon of vanilla fudge ice cream, and 2 bottles of Dr. Pepper. This is Last Meal. We're gonna start with the french fries, and this time we're gonna do air-fried french fries, because it's easier and it tastes almost as good. So, turn on your air fryer to about 375 degrees. And I figure about 1 potato per serving of french fries sounds about right. So since this is 2 large servings, we'll do 3 potatoes. When it comes to peeling potatoes, I highly recommend one of these perpendicular peelers as opposed to the parallel peelers that you see sometimes. I just find these ones work really well. Also, you can get 3 of them for like $12. If you've ever seen a french fry before, you'll notice that they're shaped like long, thin rectangles, not at all like potatoes. So next, we're gonna take these potatoes and make them shaped like that. If you want to make life easier for yourself and also have a higher chance at keeping all of your fingertips intact, it helps to cut a little sliver off the edge of the potato on all 4 sides to make it more rectangular, which will help it to sit flatter against the cutting board. Then cut it into thin, flat pieces, and then after that, cut each of those thin, flat pieces into even thinner, longer, rectangular pieces reminiscent of french fries you've seen in the past. Next, we're gonna season these, and you might think it's weird to season french fries before you cook them instead of after, but I don't know, I like doing it this way. I find that salt really penetrates and gets all the way through, and for the sake of air fryer oven fries, this way works really well. So, put them in a bowl, and then drizzle a couple of TBSPs of oil on them. Toss them around with some tongs, or your fingers if you're feeling frisky, and then just sprinkle a bunch of kosher salt on them. Toss them around again, a little more salt, make sure they're nicely coated. Next, spread them out across a baking sheet if you're using an oven like I am. If you're using one of those little countertop air fryers, good luck, because they really need to be spaced out from each other if you want them to crisp up real nice. Oh, I'm lining the sheet tray with parchment paper here. You'll see some places where it'll tell you to line with foil, that way it's easier for cleanup. Parchment paper is basically the same thing, except it works a lot better and stuff doesn't stick to it and things don't burn as easily. So I highly recommend. After that, we'll pop them in and set a timer for 15-20 minutes or so. They're going to need longer than that, but that's a good time to check so you can flip halfway through. These guys are barely done after about 15 minutes or so we're gonna flip them and then put them back in for a while. While those continue to cook, we're gonna start prepping our burgers. For the toppings, we're gonna go with the lettuce, a tomato, and a pickle. And definitely no onion, because I hate onions. You will see me dead and buried in the cold hard ground before I ever put an onion on this channel. Cut a couple slices of tomato, more than a couple slices of pickle, and then shred the lettuce. I'm using romaine lettuce here. I should be using iceberg, but it's kind of like the inner leaves of the romaine, so it's a little more crispy, so it'll work. So we're gonna do J. Kenji Lopez alt style smash burgers for this one. So grab a handful of ground beef and measure it out so each ball is about 2 1/4 ounces or so. And loosely shape them into a ball. You don't want to squish them too much. Keeping that kind of loose ground beef texture is what you want for these. Oh, and we're going to need 4 of them since it's 2 double cheeseburgers. So, 2 times double is 4. And if your oven came with one of these big, heavy griddle things, now's the time to use it. Also, your oven probably didn't come with one of these, but if you've ever done drywall work, you might have one already. If not, you can pick one up at the hardware store for about $3. We're gonna go with these brioche burger buns, because brioche has like extra butter in it, and that makes things better. Speaking of which, we're gonna make these even better by adding more butter. With the heat on medium, toss those buns on there and get them nice and toasted. Move them around a bit so they get evenly toasted, and then once they're good to go, take them off and crank that heat all the way up to high. While the griddle's heating up, let's check on our fries again. Oh yeah, now that's looking a lot better. Give them a toss around again and throw it back in the oven. If you find they're getting really close to being done, turn the heat of the oven off and just let them sit in there to keep warm. Now these burgers cook fast, like real fast, like 1 to 2 minutes fast. So you're not gonna have time to top your burgers after. You wanna do that before. Load up your buns with any sauces you want. I'm a ketchup and mustard guy myself. I know some people like mayo. You know, you do you. And then add on those pickles and lettuce and tomato and all that. Well, one of the benefits of putting the toppings on the bottom is because heat rises and cold falls, the hot burger on top of these will make it so that the lettuce doesn't get as wilty as it would if it was sitting on top. And it can also collect all those juicy beef drippings. Speaking of juice drippings, now's the time to add a little bit of fat to the griddle. I'm using clarified butter here, just gotta let it melt in there a little bit. Make sure to turn your fans on, it's about to get smokin', as the kids say. If it ain't smokin', you're not doing it right. Now put each of your burger balls on the smokin' griddle, and smash that like button. I mean, smash those burgers down with your drywall scraper. Now season the burgers with a pinch of salt, always a pinch of salt, and some pepper if you like. After about a minute or so, you're going to want to give them a flip. Use your drywall scraper to really scrape them off there. You don't want to lose any of that brown, crusty goodness. Brown, crusty goodness. Now it's time to add the cheese. Kenji says to go with American cheese because it melts better, but I like real actual cheese. It melts good enough and it tastes a lot better, so I'm using that. But you do you. Now stack one on top of the other like two kids in a trench coat sneaking into an R-rated movie, and load them up on them buns. At this point the fries are done too, so it's time to plate. And there we have it. Two really tasty, really juicy double cheeseburgers that are actually really easy to make. Not to mention super crispy air fryer oven fries that are also really easy to make. And the cult classic of sodas, Dr. Pepper. I took the liberty of upgrading the ice cream from simple Vanilla Fudge Ripple to Moose Tracks, which is Vanilla Fudge Ripple with peanut butter cups in it, because, I mean, peanut butter cups make everything better. All in all, a really tasty meal, and a pretty good choice for a last meal. It's a little on the simple side, so I'm going to have to knock points for that, but I'm definitely not mad at it. 6 out of 10.